Newcastle have lost 3-1 to Everton, and yes, it was only pre-season, but when you're 10 days away from the Premier League starting and you're playing Premier League opposition, it gives you a pretty good idea of how prepared you are for the league starting. And the answer, after that, is not very. And look, Everton are a good club, but then it's not like we can say, well, it was Man City. Do you know what I mean? Like, Everton are a team that we want to be competitive with. And to concede 3 goals before replying is not competitive. And what was abundantly clear watching that game is there are some positions that if we don't sign players in, we're fucked. And I don't want to hear any excuses. We haven't had an Alexander Isak saga this summer, right? All the business has been wrapped up in a neat little bow for us well in advance. And even the Bruno situation, we've had more than enough time to prepare for that as well. And regardless of the outgoings, I was predicting the need for a whole bunch of players brought in months and months and months ago. And I'm not paid by the club to think about this and worry about this. How am I? It's only pre-season. I'm getting fucking wound up even now, but it's like the incompetence. Let's take a look at a clip from me back in the beginning of April. We've now got 9 players whose contracts are up either now or in the next 12 months. I'm not even including Bruno. Bruno Guimaraes, our number 1 player, has only got 2 years left on his deal, and with a hot prospect like him that many clubs would want to sign, that's criminal as well. You're leaving yourself in a vulnerable position whereby really, if he forces a move, you've got to give in, because if you let him go 1 year down the road, then you're really not going to get any money for him. Between Bruno and all those players I mentioned, that's 9 players who are close to the end of their contract or already at the end. Players who play regularly for Newcastle United, not fringe players who are not going to miss, not going to notice. Big players, and that's not including Tonali, Gordon, Livramento, who we expect the people to come in for this summer. And you think back to what I said earlier about Eddie Howe spending 55 million on Wissa, 29 years old, averaging almost 50 million pound a player, and then leaving all of this to creep up on him in one summer. He's given himself a giant amount of players he needs to now sign this summer, in neglecting the squad, thinking, I'll worry about that later. And now you really do have money worries, because you can't spend £50 million a player on 9 players, can you, what you've been averaging? So now you've got to shop at the bargain bin. Now you're going to pay the price. And he didn't want to pay the price though, did he? He wanted to run away and leave us to fucking deal with a mess he left behind. And that's what's pissing me off, you know. The romanticism of Eddie, and I'm going to touch on this, and I don't want to go on and on about Eddie, because I think we're all fucking sick of me doing that. But in all of the praise he's getting all over Sky, TalkSport, everyone's sucking him off. No one talks about the disaster that he made of that final season and the shit situation that he left us in, that now this club is going to have to face. And for all he deserves the credit for all the good stuff, he's getting none of the credit for the mess he's left behind, because now someone else is going to have to fix it for him. And I'm never going to forget that. That's part of his legacy, whether people like it or not. And it's actually almost funny to like see me saying Bruno might leave when he was asking to leave the club months later, people were still going, well, he might not, you know. This might just be to try and sign a new contract. I called this fucking a forever ago. So look, let's get on to the game. I'll break down what was wrong, and I'll try and make it really clear what the fuck we need to do to fix this before the window closes. And I'll start with a little bit of positivity for Matthias Eisler, because he is working with an Eddie Howe side, and he's asking them to do the most un-Eddie Howe-like things possible. And for the first 20 minutes or so, it was working. Newcastle were playing passes through the lines in the middle of the park. Like, we never passed through the middle. There was never any bravery. There was never any belief in our technical ability. Probably because Eddie knew we had none, because that's the way he made the team. It was working for a bit. For the first 15, 20 minutes, I was like, I like what I'm saying here. I like the ideas of this manager. And for us only to be in his second game in charge and already see a level of identity coming, even for a brief period of 15, 20 minutes, it gave me a little bit of hope that. Now, for whatever reason, and I do understand that these lads are training hard right now, the heat's not great, and it's early days, we did fall to bits. Like, that did happen. The closing down, the press, you know, he's been very clear in his training about blocking the shot. There's not enough of that going on, clearly. And then with the ball, we just reverted back to type a little bit after a while. And Everton punished us for it. So the ball comes over. Right, watch Sven Botman trying to run towards the ball here. Sven Botman misses the ball, right, and puts us in this situation. You one of two things, right? You either drop off or you make sure you make connection. You don't do neither. Sven Botman's so bad, and it's sad because at one point we all had really high hopes for him, and I think he's been so shit for so long now. But what's really amazing about Sven, you could make a compilation video of how his mistakes and how bad he is just from pre-season. There's been like 7 or 8 fucking major fucking like goal conceding errors from him, and we've just given him a new contract. And I remember at the time thinking that's probably a mistake that. We should have moved him on. He's fucking dropped off a cliff. And it doesn't get any better after this. Poor fucking Lewis Hall does try and reclaim, gets the tackle in, but look at we're all over the shop. And Everton, precise, clinical, punish us for it. Fair play to them. Now, this wasn't a goal, but I want to show how disorganised we looked at the back here. So you see the ball going over the top in behind. Lewis Hall, the left back, is over in the right back position. Malik Chow is backing him up there. So you got 2-on-1. You can't let him come away with that for a start. Sven Botman, who's supposed to be in line with his defence, is just trodden back. No hurry. No hurry, mate. You just chill. And there is no left back as a player on the right-hand side is breaking into the box completely unmarked. Looking good so far. So he turns them, plays into his man who squares it across goal for a free shot, and luckily the keeper saves. Now, we got away with that one, but again, we conceded 3, but it could have been more. So this is the 3rd goal, and look at that. Like, when I'm talking about blocking the shot here, it's a nice turn from him, don't get me wrong. But Jacob Ramsey, who he hadn't been on the whole game, by the way, he'd just been brought on at half time, so he's fresh here. And this is his attempt to stop the shot. It's just not good enough, man. Switch the fuck on. And going back to the defence and the concerns I've got about Sven Botman, it's not just that he's shit, it's that he's also injured a lot. If we take this back from the end of 2024, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times he's been out in less than 2 years. And then you start thinking about, well, who covers him if he is out? This is Fabian Schär's injury record in a similar period of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just injured now again. Double figures. He's 34. Dan Burn is 34. Like, this is not who we should have as centre-back options at this point. It's not, no disrespect to Dan Burn, because I think there's a place in them in the squad for sure, but like, Sven Botman should not be our starting centre-back at this point. He's just proven he's not good enough. And that's before we even talk about replacing Kieran Trippier. Yeah, we still haven't done that. Do you know how long ago Kieran Trippier did his goodbye video? I counted, just because I'm sad like that. 131 days. And yet we're playing a 17-year-old midfielder at right back. That's the best right back who's fit at the club right now, Mason Miley. Brother of Lewis Miley. How on earth can a director of football allow a great servant of the club in Kieran Trippier, you know, a leader, more than just a footballer? How can you let him go and be at the end of the transfer window and had this whole fucking time and have not replaced them? I find it amazing. And yes, we're in talks now. It should have been wrapped up. That should have been the first signing we fucking made of the summer, that. Absolute joke. Now in midfield, we had a 4-4-2 set up with Bamba and Joe Linton in the centre of the park. Bamba is just a kid, right? He's played a handful of games for Monaco. Is there potential there? Yes. Does he look rough around the edges? Yes. Of course he's gonna. It's not fair to expect him to be anything else, in my opinion. He's still got fitness. He's still got the manager's game to learn. He's still got the Premier League to adjust to. Buying a 20-year-old with a handful of games is not going to replace Tonali or Bruno. And Joe Linton is the opposite problem. His legs are gone, pretty much. He started the game all right, actually. I was thinking, could he do a job? No, he can't. Forget it. He went back to being the sloppy, finished Joe Linton that he was all last season. Barely looked the Premier League player. Let's get real now. Like, you know, we love Joe Linton. He's a legend of the club to some degree in terms of what he turned around and did with the cup final and all of that. He's probably the man of the match in the cup final. I don't care at this point. We've got to stop being sentimental. Eddie did that for too long, and look at what situation it's got us in. Get him gone. And to be fair, at least those two have got excuses. You know, one's too old, one's too young, essentially. What's Jacob Ramsey's excuse? 40 million was spent on him. And I hear people talk about him in this fan base, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you are watching. Is it because he looks cool and he's had the odd moment where he looks pretty decent? Like, I don't see it. He made 29 appearances in the league last season, Jacob Ramsey. Probably had about 5 decent games. I don't know what he's good at. I genuinely have not seen an attribute of him and gone, you're really good at this one thing. Does he play the odd decent pass here and there? Yeah. Does he show like he can dribble? Yeah, kind of, but like he's not good at anything. It's all right. And for me, here's the definition of a fucking squad player, and we spent 40 fucking million on him. God help us, man. We are going to be recovering from Eddie Howe's transfer window of doom for the next 5 fucking years. This is how bad it is in midfield. Why am I laughing?
I am going crazy though.
This 18-year-old kid is the best midfielder we have, probably. Sean Sturr, we signed him from Ajax. His footballing brain, his ability to read the game, his ability to make progressive passes, his bravery to demand the ball in all situations. Ironically, he's not a kick in the arse away from a Bruno. He's a similar style of player in terms of what he wants to do on the ball. Still very young, still hasn't got that physicality of the Premier League. He's going to take time to adapt. We shouldn't be sitting there going, you're our best hope, you like. Like, this is so unfair. And obviously, Lewis Miley's injured, so bringing him into the side, you get that physicality and a little bit of that Premier League experience, but he's incredibly young himself. And I'm looking at them two going, it's on you, lads. And that's so irresponsible when we've known for so long Tonali's going, Bruno's going. It's so irresponsible. Them two should have a captain paired with them, and you play either one with them if you're playing a double pivot. And right now I'm going, they're the best by a mile. And actually, we got a good example of how good Sean Sturr is in this game, because he started the move for the goal. And that's going to be something that he does throughout his career. He might not get the assist, but the pre-assist will be his almost every time. You see him here. He plays this ball through the lines. Lovely. And then we move. And that's where the goal comes from. And it's great he can do that. But as I said, he needs support. And another thing from losing Bruno and Tonali that we've not replaced is the goals and assists that Bruno gave us. And looking at that team yesterday, the lack of creativity, it was horrifying. Genuinely, I was like, we're fucked here. Like, I think we had like one shot in the second half or something. It was absolutely brutal. And where Bruno would kind of be able to get forward and almost arrive as a number 10, you know, in periods of the game when we needed it, we ain't got no number 10. And there is no link-up play at all. We played with two strikers. There was no link-up play between them. When Voldemort came on, he was as isolated as he was last season. No help. And this is probably the most important problem we have in this squad right now. If we can't create, we can't score, we can't win games. And the lack of creativity is so alarming. And it's a problem, ironically, that was there the entire time Eddie was there. He never signed a number 10. 700 million spent, we never signed a number 10. We need to fix this problem if it's the last thing we do before that window closes on everything we have. Buy a fucking number 10 who's got that skill, that creativity to thread balls in behind, to score goals, to link up between the midfield and the attack, or we're going to have the same problem we've been watching for the last 5 fucking years. Because forcing a 6'7" striker in Nick Voldemort to play there, who, yes, has his limitations as a striker, I get all of the complaints, but has even more limitations as a number 10. You know, he doesn't have the running power to be dropping deep in midfield to help out and then finding a way to get back into the box and to be a threat there, which is actually what his best attribute is. His finishing is his best thing. The only good periods of his career came at Stuttgart as a striker, came at Newcastle at the start of last season as a striker. He's not a fucking midfielder, man. Look at the number 10s we've seen in history. He's not like them. At least if you're referencing strikers, there's some similarities between your Peter Crouches or whatever. It's never going to work. And I've been saying this from the beginning. Nick Voldemort is not a number 10. Forget that. The closer he is to goal, the more effective he'll be. The further away from goal, it's a waste of fucking time. And look, we could have had prime Ronaldo, prime Shearer up front last night. It wouldn't have fucking mattered because there was no creativity. And it wasn't just a number 10. There's another position that I've been crying out for a long time, and that's right wing. We need a right wing grifter. This is a tweet I put up, like, I don't know, when was this? January. 22 games in the league last season. We had 1 assist from Elanga, 1 from Gordon, 1 from Murphy, none from Barnes. For all the blame Voldemort and, you know, our strikers got last season, our wingers were dog shit. Now, Gordon's gone. We've replaced him with Toure, who automatically is the best winger at the club. What is he, 20 years old? It's a joke. Elanga was shite last season. He's shown flashes in pre-season, and I'm hopeful, but again, against Everton, he was shit. And we can't sugarcoat this anymore. Do you know what I mean? Elanga's 24, Harvey Barnes is 28, and obviously Jacob Murphy's, who cares, right? He's fucking terrible. Those two should be embarrassed by this Toure coming in and ripping it up immediately at 20 years old. Come on, lads. Elanga's on a good contract. Harvey Barnes just signed a new contract. It's not fucking good enough. Harvey Barnes has looked fucking terrible in this pre-season. It's basically with him like playing with 10 men. If he doesn't score, he's offering with nothing, and that's got to change. He had a red hot period last season, and then he just dropped off a cliff. You've signed a new contract, deliver on it. Because I'm confused as to why we did that right now, to be honest with you. And with Jacob Murphy flirting a little bit with David Moyes at the end, you've got to think, right, get your move, and let's get a good right winger in. We were linked with that kid from Feyenoord. Get someone who can offer you them goals and assists, because right now, if we bring in a number 10 and a right winger who can immediately level up the technical ability of this side, because that's what it's all about. Eddie's athletes are exposing us. And to play the way Yaisla wants to play, we need that technical ability. I was banging this drum for years. A number 10 and a right winger who can break a team down, can open a game up. Without them, we're fucked. And yes, we need a right back for Kieran Trippier. And yes, we need a replacement in the midfield as well. But attacking-wise, we're so bad, and this just needs fixed immediately. I'm worrying now. Like, we're 10 days away from playing Liverpool, and Jacob Murphy is still getting on the pitch. That's why you have a director of football, to stop that from happening. And I like the new manager. I think he's fucking great. I'm really enjoying his interviews. I like the way he wants to play football. I like the aura about him. I think you've got a lot of potential. I see why we've given him the job now. But you could hire Pep Guardiola, or you could get fucking Sir Alex out of retirement. It wouldn't matter, man, with this team. It wouldn't matter. You need to give him the tools for the fucking job. And scrambling around at the last second, getting rejected by players like Højbjerg, I'm like, oh God, what is happening? It's like being in a nightclub at fucking 2:30 in the morning, and you're just trying to see what's left, and then you still get rejected by a lass who's bang average. What am I doing? That's what Newcastle are like right now. Getting rejected by fucking Højbjerg. It's a new law, that. Didn't want him anyway. Apparently we've got 150 million to spend, and like, you'd hope a bit more, because get Joe Linton to Saudi, because apparently that's what he's after. Get rid of Murphy, Willock, Pope, add a few more million onto that 150, and spend it. Every last penny. Because we're fucked and we can't afford to wait around. Right, that's all I've got to say for today. I'm praying that Ross Wilton, our director of football, pulls his fucking finger out, because our season could be over before it even begins if he doesn't do his fucking job before that fucking window closes. Like the video, subscribe. I'll see yous on the next one.